I, 28, had always considered my best friend, Sarah, 28, to be like a sister to me. We had been through so much together over the years, from navigating the ups and downs of high school to supporting each other through the trials and tribulations of adulthood. I had trusted her with my deepest secrets and confided in her like no one else. That is why it came as such a shock when I discovered that she had been secretly stealing my identity and ruining my life behind my back. It all started innocently enough. Sarah had asked to borrow my driver's license for a night out at a bar when she misplaced hers. Being the good friend that I was, I didn't think twice about it and handed it over. Little did I know that this seemingly small act of kindness would set off a chain of events that would turn my world upside down. A few weeks later, I started receiving strange bills in the mail for purchases that I had never made. At first, I brushed it off as a simple mistake or a mix-up. However, the bills kept coming and the amounts kept growing. I soon realized that someone had been using my identity to rack up debt in my name. I immediately confronted Sarah about it, thinking that there must have been some sort of misunderstanding. However, instead of denying it or apologizing, she broke down in tears and confessed to everything. She admitted that she had been using my personal information to open credit cards, take out loans, and make purchases online. The worst part was that she had been doing it for months behind my back. I felt a surge of betrayal and anger unlike anything I had ever experienced before. How could my best friend, someone who I had trusted with my life, do something so callous and deceitful? Not only had she stolen my identity, but she had also tarnished my credit score, destroyed my financial stability, and put me at risk for potential legal trouble. I knew that I had to take drastic action to protect myself and salvage what was left of my reputation. With a heavy heart and a sense of dread, I made the difficult decision to report Sarah to the police for identity theft. It was a choice that tore me apart inside, but I knew that I had no other option if I wanted to reclaim my life and hold her accountable for her actions. The aftermath of reporting Sarah to the authorities was nothing short of chaotic. Our friendship imploded in a whirlwind of accusations, tears, and broken promises. She begged and pleaded for my forgiveness, claiming that she had been struggling with financial difficulties and had acted out of desperation. However, her excuses fell on deaf ears, and I stood firm in my decision to pursue justice for her crimes. As the investigation unfolded, more and more evidence came to light about the extent of Sarah's deception. It turned out that she had not only stolen my identity, but had also used it to commit fraud on a grand scale. The repercussions of her actions reverberated through every aspect of my life, leaving me with a tangled web of legal issues, financial burdens, and shattered trust. Update: the police investigation into Sarah's crimes had uncovered a trail of deceit and manipulation that ran deeper than I could have ever imagined. She had not only stolen my identity, but had also targeted several other unsuspecting victims in a sophisticated scam that spanned multiple states. The scope of her betrayal was staggering, and the ramifications of her actions were far-reaching. As the full extent of Sarah's crimes came to light, I found myself grappling with a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, confusion, and a profound sense of loss. The person I had once considered my closest friend had turned out to be a master manipulator and a skilled con artist. I struggled to reconcile the image of the Sarah I had known with the reality of the criminal she had become. In the midst of the chaos and turmoil, one question continued to haunt me. Am I the asshole for reporting my best friend to the police for stealing my identity and ruining my life? Despite the pain and devastation that she had caused, a part of me still felt a twinge of guilt for turning her into the authorities. Had I overreacted in my quest for justice, or had I simply done what was necessary to protect myself and prevent further harm? As I grappled with these conflicting emotions, one thing became abundantly clear. The bond of friendship that Sarah and I had once shared was irreparably broken. The trust that had once been the foundation of our relationship had been shattered beyond repair, leaving nothing but the bitter taste of betrayal in its wake. And as I faced the hard truth of her actions, I couldn't help but wonder if our friendship had ever truly been genuine, or if it had all been a facade hiding the darker side of her nature. In the end, I was left with a sense of closure and resolution, knowing that I had taken the necessary steps to protect myself and hold Sarah accountable for her crimes. The road ahead would be long and arduous, filled with challenges and obstacles that I never could have anticipated. But one thing was certain: I would emerge from this ordeal stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. And as I stood on the precipice of a new chapter in my life, I couldn't help but wonder, Am I the asshole for standing up for myself and refusing to be a victim of someone else's deceit? The answer may never be clear, but one thing is certain. I will always strive to uphold my integrity, protect my identity, and never allow anyone to take advantage of me ever again. As the legal proceedings against Sarah continued, the impact of her actions reverberated through every aspect of my life. I spent countless hours on the phone with creditors, financial institutions, and credit bureaus, trying to untangle the mess that she had created. I had to prove my innocence and reclaim my identity, a task that felt like an uphill battle every step of the way. The emotional toll of the situation was equally daunting. I struggled to come to terms with the fact that someone I had trusted with my deepest secrets and vulnerabilities had turned out to be a master manipulator and a skilled criminal. The betrayal cut deep, leaving scars that would take years to heal, if they ever did. Despite the overwhelming evidence against Sarah, she continued to plead for leniency and forgiveness. She claimed that she had been driven to desperate measures by financial hardships and personal struggles, but her excuses fell on deaf ears. I couldn't bring myself to sympathize with someone who had shown such blatant disregard for my well-being and had caused irreparable harm to my life. As the legal proceedings dragged on, I found myself grappling with conflicting emotions. On one hand, I felt a sense of relief knowing that Sarah was facing the consequences of her actions. Justice was being served, and I was finally starting to see a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. But on the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling of loss and betrayal that lingered in the background, a constant reminder of the friendship that had been shattered beyond repair. As the day of Sarah's trial approached, I braced myself for the final chapter of this tumultuous saga. The courtroom was packed with onlookers, reporters, and curious bystanders eager to catch a glimpse of the drama unfolding before their eyes. I sat in the witness box, face to face with the person who had once been my best friend but now stood as my greatest enemy. The prosecution presented a mountain of evidence against Sarah, detailing the extent of her crimes and the impact they had on me and others. The judge listened intently as I recounted the events that had led to this moment, the sense of betrayal and heartbreak that had colored every interaction since Sarah's deceit had been revealed. In the end, the verdict was clear. Sarah was found guilty of identity theft, fraud, and a slew of other charges. The judge handed down a harsh sentence, ordering her to pay restitution to her victims and serve a lengthy prison term. As she was led away in handcuffs, I couldn't muster an ounce of sympathy for the person who had caused so much pain and destruction in her wake. The aftermath of Sarah's conviction was met with mixed reactions from those around me. Some expressed shock and disbelief that someone they had once known could be capable of such heinous acts. Others commended me for standing up for myself and refusing to be a victim of her deceit. But through it all, one thing remained clear. The bond of friendship that Sarah and I had once shared was irreparably broken, and there was no going back. In the weeks and months that followed, I worked tirelessly to rebuild my life and reclaim my sense of security and stability. The scars left behind by Sarah's deception would never fully fade, but I was determined to rise above the ashes and emerge stronger than ever before. And as I looked towards the future, I knew that I had made the right decision in reporting my best friend to the police, not out of malice or revenge, but out of a deep-seated need to protect myself and prevent further harm. In the end, the question of whether I was the asshole for standing up for myself and holding Sarah accountable for her crimes lingered in the back of my mind. But as I reflected on the events that had transpired, I knew that I had done what was necessary to protect my identity, my reputation, and my well-being. And if that meant sacrificing a friendship that had once meant the world to me, then so be it. So to Sarah, wherever you are now, I hope you have learned the true cost of your actions. I hope you understand the pain and devastation you have caused, not just to me, but to all those who trusted you and believed in you. And as for me, I will continue to move forward with my head held high, knowing that I did what was right, even if it meant losing a piece of myself in the process.